So, I'm Brian Vick. That's Chris Wynn. And we're going to just talk about some football with our own attitude, our own insight, our own instinct. And of course, and if you know anything about football while you're probably watching this, you realize that this is like a slow down time of the season. I mean, mini camps just wrapped up. There were like mandatory mini camps, so I guess it's like something. But for the most part, the coaches, the GMs, they're just kind of looking and being like, all right, this is like our 90-man roster. This is what we got. Hopefully there's no injuries. And that's just kind of how I think you're looking at your team right now. What would you say is the point of view to have with your football team like right now?
Yeah, there have already been some injuries. And it's amazing because injuries just happen, considering that they're not really doing a lot of anything, any team. There's a couple of run-throughs, basic football activities to see how in shape everybody is and put on a show for the media therefore the fans, which is necessary because this is the entertainment business. But people are hungry, always hungry for football, and this is when there is none. So what are you gonna do? One thing that's been on my mind, and which I think you'll find interesting because you find this more interesting than I have in a long time, is HBO's Hard Knocks. I read an article, I actually don't know where, which is a shame for me, but it was comparing which teams would be very much more interesting this year. And the two teams that seemed to be on people's lips were the New York Giants and the Detroit Lions. And normally, as you know me, I don't give two hoots about Hard Knocks. I rarely watch it and give a few glimpses since I think I cared back when Baltimore Ravens did it when Brian Billick was coach, and that was like the last time I cared. But for some reason, when I heard that, I got to thinking to myself that if there's any year that I would ever want my hometown team, Detroit Lions, on Hard Knocks, this would probably be the year. And with a lot of factors, all due respect to the New York Giants, I think there's just more media stories there. I mean, got a lot of ex-players as coaches, which is a story unto itself. You got a bitter California boy in Jared Goff getting a second chance someplace else. Every city can have a COVID story, so that kind of story is out the water. But it's also a year that it doesn't really matter for the Lions. They can win, they can lose. No one's really going to lose their jobs at the end of it.
No, I'd say therein lies the thing that I think it is with Hard Knocks, is that they don't want a team with a first-year head coach because they want him to kind of get his plan underway. So actually, to me, the Giants and Joe Judge in his second year, I'm just saying, it's almost more, because there is more expectation now. Joe Judge laid it out last year. Like, this is the plan. This is how we're going to do it. This is year 2. So you need to see some progress in this plan. Dan Campbell is just like beginning his plan now with the Lions and all those assistant coaches like you meant. So in a way, it's almost better for them to have their privacy this first year, I think.
Yeah, I want to agree with you. But then when I look at the Giants, I think most of their stories are kind of boring. Because really everything about the Giants is depending on Saquon Barkley's injury. And if that's what the conversation is going to be all through Hard Knocks, that's boring television. Well, that's what it is.
It'll be one storyline. Daniel Jones is going to
He is their team. Yeah, you could talk about Daniel Jones, and you're going to talk about Daniel Jones because he's the quarterback. Daniel Jones, and this has nothing to do with his skill, like Eli Manning, is not an interesting person. So you're not going to get a whole lot of great stories.
But look, again, you're going to what? You don't think your main man, number 19, Kenny Golladay, is going to be a story? He absolutely will be.
Not really. No, Kenny Golladay is also.
Think about it as like a TV show, bro. I'm saying it is like he can have his week where he's like the featured character. Like Liv Schreiber. Liv Schreiber's going to be like, and now the $85 million free agent signing by the Giants, Kenny Golladay, pulls up to training camp in his like Porsche or whatever it is, you know. And then like an ISO camera will like follow him in. It's kind of cool the way they do it, man. It really is. They'll make him look like a rock star for sure.
If he has that personality, from what I know of Kenny Galladay, he does not. So I don't really think you should expect the Cleveland Browns training camp with their superstar, all-star, flashy wide receivers. Kenny Galladay has never really showed that kind of attitude. He's never really showed anything at all when it comes to personality. He's not a talkative person. So,
well, look, but he's still a young guy. He's still young.
Of course he is, yes. But the star of the Giants ain't Kenny, despite what money you gave him. Yeah, he's going to be your 1A, 1B wide receiver. That's fine. But the story about the Giants, and I understand television, I do know Hard Knocks is going to be all about Barkley's injury.
No, but it's going to be about Joe Judge, too. Dude, Joe Judge is going to be the main character of that story.
Well, you never know with New England guys, because we just had a New England guy. That guy was boring as all heck, too.
No.
I don't know anything about Joe Judge.
Again, that's why I'm saying this is a huge year. This is a huge year for the Giants. They got to win 10 games. 10 games.
You're really telling me that you agree with me about the Lions, because why would you want this distraction? And I was going to get you on this point about it being a second year. In the NFL, coaching is a 3-year prospect. You need to have success in 3 years or people are looking to fire you. So you want a safe year, that's your first year, because rarely somebody's going to fire you after your first year. But you have a bad second year, that's on your way out time, and you know this. So I disagree with you. Maybe yesteryear you would have been right, but lately coaches just get fired.
Yeah, I see it. Look, then Jacksonville would be intriguing as hell to me too. Seeing what Vermont's doing.
Actually, I completely agree with that. I don't really want it because that'd be atypical.
No, because I know then they're going to sit there.
Stories there. There's first year coach too.
Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of stories with Jack.
Lots of stories. Yeah.
The owner is an interesting guy.
Yeah, the whole Britain connection. I'm not even denying that Jacksonville's not an interesting story, but that Meyer's even more first year than Campbell is, who actually was a coach in the NFL for several games.
I think actually it's funny that you mentioned Hard Knocks, because I was just looking. Did you ever see this other show, Amazon's All or Nothing?
Oh,
that was a well done show too, I thought. And that team follows the team through the regular season, which is a little crazy, because it's like, think about that. These guys are playing real games through the regular season, everything, and there's like camera crews just everywhere the whole time. That's a little, I don't know, it's a little daunting in a way. I wouldn't, if I was a football player, I don't know if I would like that.
Yeah, what year, coach, do you want that to be in, bruh?
That I know that could be
like a camera crew following Joe Judge around all year this year. Would you like that?
No, see, I feel like that All or Nothing show, like Amazon, they usually will pick a team that is highly expected to be a major contender. Like, how about the Kansas City Chiefs? How about that? Let All or Nothing follow the Chiefs around. Let them do
their mantra this year anyway. That'd be kind of ironic. They're talking about.
You know what, dude? Don't insult my intelligence. 15, okay? Saying you're going 20-0. 20-0. That's some balls on you, kid. That's some balls on you. No, listen, hey, he is well within his right, but I just tell you, when you act like that with that bravado, guys are gonna love to beat your ass, man. They're gonna love to beat your ass.
Hey, as long as we keep playing man coverage as a league, he has a right to brag, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, guess what?
Get guys who can run and who can catch. And if he's protected, he's got enough time, he's going to score 30 points a game.
I know a team that has a few young, ferocious pass rushers that's going to be gunning for him, for sure. Including a big-time leader. A guy who here, I want to know, this is always an interesting subject to me, the like sports, like futures, like betting, like these crazy odds that you get on anything. Like, you could pick a player, like, I'll use an example. How about our prized free agent acquisition? I'm talking about okay. Bro. I'm talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. Yannick Ngakoue. That man right there is going to be an alpha dog of that defense from day one. And not because he's a huge, big, cocky guy. He's just really smart and straight up and confident in himself. And guys are going to follow that shit. And so anyway, I wonder what the odds are, like over under, right? A bet like that. I say Ngakoue gets 11 or 12 sacks. So say his over under number is like 8, 9. To me, a big time bet would be Ngakoue over, say, 9 sacks. What action would you take on that?
I know I'm not a gambler, but I think that's the wrong horse to bet on. A way under.
Way under.
Absolutely. Free agent.
Maybe Max Crosby is going to be the guy that benefits.
Free agent is underrated term. Excuse me. Mercenary right now is Yannick Ngakoue.
He has been.
Mercenary.
He has been.
So so talent, yes. Ability, yes. Production, I do not know, because there is a reason that this team moved on, that team moved on, then that team moved on, and here he is with the Raiders. And Raiders have not had the best of luck with big-time free agents, no matter who's been in the front office the last few years. I have, because of you, and I love you, I have the utmost respect for the Raiders. Count on your draft picks to get better and lead your team, not on the mercenaries you bring in to help your team. And look at your offensive line. You guys had one of the best offensive lines 2 years ago. Now they're a completely different team because most of them were mercenaries.
They were, but now these are homegrown guys.
That's exactly what you need to focus on, right. Not the mercenaries like Ngakoue. You don't know what he's going to do. There's no level to judge what he's going to do. You're just hoping he's going to be what we've seen 3 years ago now in Jacksonville.
Wait, but no, listen.
2 years ago.
He was still rushing the passer with Baltimore and with Minnesota.
Yeah, but you said sacks, not like rushes or hurries. He can get that done, but getting to the guy in that division, we're talking about Herbert and Mahomes. Come on.
How many times did Mahomes get sacked in that Super Bowl?
Offensive line looks pretty better to me if you're looking on paper.
I'm coming after his ass. I don't care what that offensive line is rebuilt. He's gonna have 2 rookies. He's gonna have 2 rookies on that offensive line.
Okay. Are they men? Men?
Hey, we're gonna have 1 rookie and like a first-year starter.
Exactly. Are they men? Are they grown men? Can you play the ball? We drafted you to play you. Are you starting?
I know. And actually, Andy Reid pissed me off because if you remember back to my mock draft, I actually had the Packers taking Creed Humphrey, the center, and who takes him? The fucking Chiefs. So now he's gonna be Mahomes' number 1 center, man, for years.
That's according to your board.
Listen,
see.
I hope not, because when we play him, I want to see someone throw his ass out of the way, or him fuck up a protection call, and like I said, and Ngakoue or Max Crosby or Cleve Farrell, we all meet at 15 in red.
Dig it.
And then we can ask him again how he feels about 20-0.
Hey,
20-0, bro. You see the scoreboard? You see the scoreboard of this game today? You're going 20-0. You see the scoreboard of this game today at Arrowhead? That's the kind of shit that I'd be whispering in his ear.
Yeah.
So
every right to brag.
Well, look, I guess the only place that I would get close to it is the Madden cover, when that comes out. So I mean, and how about Madden 22? To buy or not to buy? You said it so perfectly. What? $60 for a roster update. You're pretty much right.
Yeah, it's not my line. It's an old line at this point, and that's why my boycott, and it's not even my boycott, it's one that's starting by a select few, because it's damn sure not enough to get this game to actually start changing as it used to. And we're both at a certain age. I believe my first purchase of Madden was 98. It might have been 97.
Yeah.
The years are starting to get past me now. But the game needs to really live up to its billing as being one of the most purchased video games ever. And that's on a yearly basis. And we're not even asking for a lot. And these developers, Electronic Arts, they know what we're desiring. Most of the things that we want, they've already had in the game in the past.
Yeah.
That's what's also frustrating.
Right.
That the focus is just so much on the mini purchases they can get with their microtransactions in the online game. And if players continue to play these online games and keep purchasing these things at a high level, the changes that need to happen will not happen, because the bottom line is going to read, we don't have to do anything different but do a roster update, said Electronic Arts, and the suckers will keep buying. And I much as I love this game, and I always loved playing Madden, one of my favorite games historically, I have to take a stand for another year. I still regret purchasing, I think 19 was a regretful purchase on my part because it was so bad.
Many of them have been. This is coming. I'm with you.
This is coming.
But here, while you were saying that, it made me think of this. You know, for the realistic football simulation that both you and I love the most with the game of Madden, that is the thing that's rarely ever tweaked with. Because they're only focusing on the online microtransaction stuff. But here's one small dose of optimism, I would say, in this regard, for like a PS5, which of course neither one of us are close to. But that controller supposedly is much different. So I'm saying, how would you actually change the gameplay with the game? Like, what we're looking for, a realistic football simulation, right? So in a lot of ways, there's a lot of things really cool about that in that simulation way. So what is one thing that you would change to make it more interactive or better?
Okay, I'll just keep it to one thing. Let you create your own plays. Have more control over the game. Limit or get rid of all the roster limitations you put on your rosters in the first place. You know, because there are places for it to have it. When you're playing online, there should be complete evenness and fairness. But when you're playing offline, you should have complete control of the game. There's no reason not to. And especially when it comes to just designing your own plays, there's so many levels of fun that they've had already in this game before. Yeah. And again, I'm just giving you one thing. This is one thing.
Yeah. Well, I know. I can't believe. I feel like there's got to be a way where you can make your own plays.
Not anymore. You can, you can put what plays that's already in the game into your playbook, but you can't design your own plays on the actual rules of football. And they've again had this function before, so they can do it because that was obviously on lesser technology. I'm talking like 10, 15 years ago.
It's a true thing, because the plays, that is one major thing that grows tiresome. That is actually one thing that like rarely ever changes. Literally year to year to year, you're looking at the same playbook.
That's right. And we're talking about football simulation, and we're talking about accuracy to the game, we're talking about updating the rosters week by week based on how they're playing. I follow my team as hardcore as you follow your team. I know what plays they are running. If I want to simulate those, I cannot, because you have no actual control over the game besides what they decide to put in there. And unfortunately, they're not completely accurate. You need to let the fans have a lot more control, because, I mean, we utilize what the fans do with the roster updates every year because we can't count on the developers to do so. So keep giving the fans as much control as possible. You would just make more fans.
Look, I mean...
And this is console.
Well...
Because PC, you can have mods and actually do the things I'm talking about.
And it would be amazing if somebody else had some license, too. Why it's the EA monopoly. I mean, that's a whole nother rabbit hole, but that's wherein the real change would come also, is if you had some other developer creating a whole different experience of football. Like what if what if the camera changed? What if the camera changed, like when, say, you're a player, you're an individual player on the team, and the camera angle is like different. Like if you're the quarterback, you're just like seeing it differently. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like there's a way to
individual player. There really is no individual play in this game, because that would be an offline mode. And that's why whatever individual play you would ever want is a slip shot at best. There was a time you could individually play as an offensive lineman. You can't do that anymore. Why?
I know that's actually a fun thing. That's actually something that if you were playing, instead of, say, we're playing against each other, if we decided to play on the same team, I actually think it's best that someone's the quarterback and someone's an offensive lineman, in a way.
Theory, but that's not possible. And the offensive line would be the number two thing I would think about, as it is a constant fury playing the game every year, because the simulation size is not anywhere near to how offensive line plays, because it's de-emphasized, and they're the most de-emphasized unit on the game. The kicking team is more important in the stimulation than the offensive line, which is not football.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not even an offensive lineman, but the fury I have is Madden has moved me over to that side to start defending the guys who make the game actually go.
And the defense is ridiculous. I mean, how many times? It's so predictable. Linebackers are like 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and as soon as I see them like blitzing from there, I know that space is going to be open right behind them. It's too easy. It's too predictable. There needs to be more like deception and speed on defense.
I somewhat agree with you. I only somewhat agree with you because I think defense is going to be the last thing that they will address. And here's my argument. Again, if they claim to be focused on simulation and making it as real as possible, right now, defense really doesn't exist at any kind of high level for actual game football. So I think defense are actually in this next version of Madden, and when you buy it, you can tell me it's going to be worse than what it even has been. Because there's going to be more emphasis on points. Look at what happened in the NFL last year when it came to scoring points. There's teams were putting up 40 a week. That stuff did not happen when we were kids. We're not even that old. Start playing 1970s and the score was 7-3. No. We're used to at least 21-7, 28-14 games. Now we're getting 48-43 games. That's what it's going to be, even probably worse.
They have legislated physical defense out of the sport. I mean, and
pass rush will still be there. So if you're trying to make a simulation this year with Madden, pass rush should be emphasized, and on defense specifically. But I think offensive line play and making that more creative should be always next. Personally. So Madden right now, waste of time.
Yeah, that's the angle to take. I mean, look, some guys can sit there and try to, be the linebacker or the safety. I'd rather be that defensive end, that Yannick Ngakoue, because I feel like when I'm playing the game like that, I feel like I have the most control by me rushing and allowing the other guys to cover. Because I feel like if I let them rush and I'm covering, I almost get a little too nervous that I might make the wrong move and then get burned. So it's something to know thyself. I'd rather come at you. I'm coming at you instead of me backpedaling and watching. You see what I mean?
I do.
I'd rather do that.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
So again, we talked about how slow this offseason is, but many camps have wrapped up. Injuries have gone through the process. But I do want to ask you, as we go through this next phase of no football, free agents still available? that can still help teams? What teams still need help? Are there any free agents that you see that can help some teams out?
Well, as a matter of fact, I mean, look, there's been 2 free agent signings again. I mean, look, I'm into the Raiders, so I know what's going on. And we picked up Darren Lee, former first-round linebacker from Ohio State, if you remember. This guy was like the 8th pick overall. Darren Lee. This guy's like 25, 26 years old, on the street, free agent. He fizzled out with the Jets drafted him, right? And then it didn't work out. And then he ended up with like Kansas City, actually, for a cup of coffee. And then he was with Buffalo for a cup of coffee. So look, what is the harm? You bring him into camp. This is Gus Bradley's new defense. What if Darren Lee's running around making plays? What if he's calling out shit that he sees? Gus Bradley and Gruden are going to be like, dude, Darren Lee needs to play on this defense. He knows what's going on. So everybody has an opportunity. Let's put it that way. Everybody has an opportunity that's on the team. When you get on that field, let me see, like, you know what you're doing and you're making plays and you will be on this team. That's how you should create the competition. But anyway, I digress too quickly into football philosophy. But, you know, hey.
Raiders. But I agree with you, opportunity. Darren Lee is going to be cut before training camp is over. But
very well might be.
I got 2 things for you. One, I'm challenging you next time we bring this up to give me some non-Raiders news.
Right.
And 2, ironically, the free agent that I was looking at that I thought might be interesting going down the line, I actually thought would be interesting on the Las Vegas Raiders. It's got to be Le'Veon Bell. I know with the flaws there has to be personality-wise, because when it comes to his effect, not necessarily his effect, but his ability as a running back, that's still there. His wear and tear.
Is it there?
We're going to judge Andy Reid in Kansas City and say that it's not.
Was he good with the Jets?
We're talking about free agents still available. So the list is not strong no matter who you bring in.
True.
I think he can be a good goal line running back. I do. I don't think the Jets are a good measure for anything. I think that was a stupid signing because I think he made a dumb move that he almost needed to make, considering what has happened to the running back in the NFL. Let's not forget that despite his attitude, Le'Veon Bell was not wrong. He was not wrong because he was never going to get his value and worth. So he decided to fight for it. We shouldn't be angry about that because look what's happened to the running back. We treat them like they're absolute garbage. And as an old school football fan, and that makes me sick to my stomach what's happened to the running back. So I am going to be a defender of Le'Veon Bell to that point. I don't know for sure if he really has ability, but we're talking about free agents still available that might be able to help a team down the line this year. And this is a guy that's not going to go to a losing team. He's going to go to a team on the rise and help them in depth.
Dude,
and that could be the Raiders.
It could
who needed running backs when they came
when an injury happens. When an injury happens on a contending team, they're going to look strong at Bell. Yes.
That's what we're talking about. Look, the free agents that are still available are not going to help a team from the start from the go. They're going to help a team down the line. And Raiders are a running team who did have significant running back injuries when it mattered. So that's why I'm saying that's the kind of player that they might have to bring in as the season goes, because this is a player that's, again, not going to go to a losing team. It's going to go to a team that's on the rise.
Well, look, I guess because, Kenyon Drake has been brought in to be that guy to half seize the load with Josh Jacobs, a little less than half.
If Kenyon Drake was any good, he would still be on Arizona. It's why he's going to be a backup.
Wait.
Don't tell me that he's going to solve the Raiders' backup running back problems. He has
You're
to
telling
prove
me
that on the
Arizona
field.
wouldn't have wanted Drake back if he didn't sign with the Raiders? Yeah, they
No,
definitely would.
no, because upgrading over Kenyon Drake at the running back position is just not difficult. He is an NFL running back, but he is not a star, nor Pro Bowler, nor real starter. He pretty much is a number 2 running back. And so what is
and
that exactly?
he's ultimately like he's a third down back. He's a really good third down back.
Sure, he's a really good third down back.
He's a good receiver. He's a good receiver.
Only average pass protection, considering how often. Well, maybe it was that awful offense that Arizona ran where Kyler Murray had to run for his life several times, and because I'm sorry, he made Cliff Kingsbury look smarter than what he is. Because he was running for his life all the time. He had zero protection, especially on third down. And Miami moved away from Kenyon Drake too. I'm not sure this guy can really pass protect very well. You're counting, and again, he also had injury issues as running backs. You have, so you're going to need more than Kenyon Drake, dude.
Wait a minute.
Know what I'm right.
Well, yeah, but wait.
And I'm surprised that you're so against this.
Drake.
Let me finish.
The 2, bro. He's the 2.
But let me finish. I'm surprised you would be against considering the hatred that Le'Veon Bell has for Andy Reid right now. Who else would he want to get on a team and go stuff something down his throat?
But are you kidding? If we sign Le'Veon Bell, the Raiders sign Le'Veon Bell right now.
In December.
He's gonna.
In December.
What? So we're going with this plan with Jacobs and Drake. Yes, if Jacobs or Drake goes down, the Raiders should give him a buzz. No question.
Yes. That's the players that are still available aren't even good enough for the 90. So
yeah.
I'm not talking about
the plans. See again, because look, Le'Veon Bell is a strong personality. So if you're gonna bring that guy in, he's got to play. That's to me. That's the thing with Le'Veon Bell. If I'm bringing him in, dude, I want him playing. I don't want him just sitting on the bench. I want him playing.
Okay. I don't know what happened with Kansas City, but I don't think it was a matter of health.
What? Their young running back. He got hurt. Edwards-Helaire. He got hurt last year. So who the hell was playing? Darrell Williams? I mean,
it did not seem Le'Veon Bell was hurt. I don't know for sure, but it never seemed
why the hell would Andy Reid not play?
We agree that he's got a big head and a big personality. But there's no disagreement there, bruh. But if somebody in the Raiders staff can swallow their pride for 4 weeks, maybe he can help you.
So, well, actually, interesting segue in a way to what we're talking about, running backs, right? And their usage and injuries. Why is it every single year in a fantasy draft, all anyone ever talks about is the running backs at the top of the draft? Why is that? Because the running backs are just like big stars for like chalking up points. But we know every single year, half of those running backs get hurt. And it's the guys that actually drafted the quarterback or the receiver sometimes that end up winning, or the tight end.
Yeah, speaking to the player here, I've been making this argument for 10 years. Only to be proven right, not necessarily garnish that many championship, but no question that I have actually, my bad. Spilled something. How I feel about the first round, often you can throw that round out because if you think that you can count on your first round pick to be the savior of your team in fantasy football, you got another thing coming because, as you said, injuries. And then there's the overhypedness of the first round where you got to go out to the hot player from last year. And that's expecting that this guy's going to have a level of consistency, is going to be able to produce at that level for 2 seasons in a row, which we all know by now as NFL fans or sports fans in general that it's actually rare at the level of superstar. And there's a running back playing, I believe, for the Tennessee Titans who has proven to be that guy. But am I hyped that he can do it 3 years in a row?
Is that right? So, wow. Think about this, Chris. Right now, You're telling me, and I could see it. If the fantasy draft is next weekend, the number 1 pick, Derrick Henry. Can you imagine that? And listen, and I say you are talking to someone. I love Derrick Henry. I had him as a rookie. I've had him numerous times. Always loved Derrick Henry from day one. But I tell you what, there's no way in hell I would take him number 1 overall. I wouldn't do it. Do it.
Yeah, I get it, but I would.
Okay.
And I don't think he can do it 3 years in a row, but again, right now, based on what we're talking about, you can throw first round pick out the window most
right. Someone that you can depend on.
So
someone you'll be able to depend on Derrick Henry. But listen, already, I mean, the Titans, that team, just got a legendary stud number 1 receiver, Julio Jones. They also have an emerging young stud receiver in A.J. Brown. So it's how many balls go around in that Titans offense there.
Enough for those 3.
And someone's got to replace Jonnu Smith's production too.
Forget, I had Julio Jones last year. He had a terrible year. So this would be a bounce back year
for
Julio if he in playing with a top 10 receiver.
Exactly. See, now that is what I'm always looking for as a strategy. I'm looking for the bounce back, baby. That's where you can find value. You can find guys that they're like, oh, Julio Jones last year, he was hurt. You know, he's still, the Falcons suck, this, that. Dude, he just got traded to the Titans. He is invigorated, believe me. And look, there might be a couple games where he doesn't do much because he's still figuring out the Titans offense, this, that, the other. But then, boom, there'll be the game where he's got like 10 catches and 3 touchdowns.
Or the second round pick for Julio Jones now. So
well, right. That's what I'm saying. Now you could think, say, at the end of the second round, if Julio Jones is there, you're just like,
that either. Based on his production that he gave last year, and he was still playing with the top 15 receiver on the other side of him and a top 15 quarterback.
Ridley took over.
You're already taking my point. You're taking my point away. He's not going to be his numbers. He's going to make A.J. Brown even better.
Yeah.
He's may make Derrick Henry consistent enough to do another huge season.
Okay, I like that.
So be drawing attention that you have to pay attention to him. But he has not been catching balls through double teams like he used to be. But he still has to be double teamed. That's a big deal. So yeah, it's about A.J. Brown. It's all about him.
Well, look. So if you had the number 1 pick, you're going to take Derrick Henry.
Now, if I had the number 1 pick, I'd take Patrick Mahomes.
I was just going to say, as much as I really, obviously don't love him, he's got to be the number 1 pick. Yeah.
Yep.
It's got to be Mahomes.
Yeah, because the only thing to keep him from getting his numbers is injury.
Yeah.
Because like I said, unless defenses figure out how to actually defend him, and so far they have not.
Or the only thing that will derail you when you draft Patrick Mahomes is if they start blowing the team out so bad in the first half, they call off the dogs in the second half.
He ain't going to want to sit.
No. I'm just saying, if it's 38-3 at halftime, he's not going to keep throwing. What's best is when you get him in like a shootout.
He's not going to keep throwing. But if you look at how they played last year, he really didn't need to throw for a high level of balls on a week-to-week basis because they were already moving toward a running game. I don't think they're going to move away from that style. So I do not expect him to be throwing more than 15 to 20 passes, especially against the inferior opponents anyway. But he's staying in the game.
Chiefs defense any good? Are they any good? Chiefs defense?
I want to... For the modern NFL, they pass rush, so they're good enough.
Chris Jones is still a man-child down there. But what else? Honey Badger? I'm tired of hearing Honey Badger running his mouth about what? All right, they did win one. They beat Jimmy G and the 49ers. Good, they won one. And then last year, your Michigan boy Tom Brady, he showed them what's what. So
coming out of this the OTAs or whatever we call them. What team out there that's not the Raiders? You know how you feel about them. Are you high on? What team are you low on?
Well, I mean, we were just talking a little about it. I'm high on the Titans, man. I think that move, it invigorates the whole team. It says we are going for it. And they got Tannehill in place. You got Derrick Henry is literally in his prime. AJ Brown is emerging. Look, their defense was real suspect last year, but you know what? Mike Vrabel, he was too good of a defensive player for me to believe that they can't figure out getting that defense straightened out. And they drafted a few players. They took Farley in the first round, could be a shutdown corner for him. You liked him, I know. So I don't know. I'm thinking the Titans are. They've been knocking on the door the last few years. I think this is their shot. This is their shot to win it all. I think for the Titans, this is their, because if they don't, they're gonna shake it up a lot next year. So this is their shot to really try to win it all. I think for the Tennessee Titans. What about a team you think you're high on?
Yeah, that's a great pick. Obviously, definitely one of mine as well. A team I'm incredibly high on. It's hard not to be. Hoping the defense is better, but it's surprising since I'm going to list the team that I absolutely can't stand, and that's the Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to really attribute it to the coaching staff. I think they're doing a pretty solid job. Been pretty quiet off-season in comparison to a lot. Usually in comparison to off seasons where are never quiet. They've had some decent signings, I'm not saying that, but the focus really hasn't been on them. Tennessee's been much louder, for example. And they have such an interesting, young, stable, both sides of the ball coming back and having had that success last year. They come back with a good attitude and stay healthy. They run the ball, receiving core has ways of getting better. They're just still strong. The tight end, offensive line, the defensive line has gotten better. Linebackers on paper look better. Defensive backs look the same, if not better on paper. So, yeah, the Browns.
Well, a lot of combustible egos on that team. So I'm selling.
That's why I said the coaching staff first, because their job, number one, is to control egos. And they did a pretty good job last year.
They did. They brought a few different ones in. And, the Browns, they were really, we talked about this, they were this close to beating those Chiefs in that divisional round.
That's right.
They had them beat in that game, and they blew it. So sometimes, to me, you could say, "Oh, all right, well, they'll be back next year."
No,
maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they had their chance and they blew it.
Yeah, I hear you, because it makes me laugh when Baker Mayfield ends up being Bernie Kosar. It kind of makes me laugh as you kind of get to see it. But I nevertheless, I'm going to be high on them.
And how about this? The way that the Bills, how about this? This is even more salt in the wound for the Browns. The way that the Bills played in the championship game, you don't think the Browns could have beat the Bills in that championship game? They definitely could have.
I don't know. I don't know. The Bills played whoever they had in front of them.
But they did not look great.
I can't stand that coach, but that's on a man-to-man level. What he has shown in this job and in Carolina is how well he adjusted the team he's playing. That's why they're in every single game last year. So I am incredibly high on Buffalo, even more than Cleveland. I'm just going with Cleveland because it's a little bit more surprising than I'm saying that.
Sure.
So who are you low on coming into this NFL?
The Packers.
Dad. I hear that.
You can say whatever you want. Aaron Rodgers, everything, their organization, all this, and every year, yes, they're good. Every year, they're good. They're good. But Rodgers, look, he's hosting Jeopardy. He's running around on vacation with his new, Hollywood wife. He's mentally checked out a little bit, I do think. And again, they had the Bucs in their house in that championship game. Rodgers was the MVP. That was his Super Bowl to win. they got their ass beat. Look, I just think that there's only so many times you're gonna climb that mountain. And look, in that division, the Vikings are gonna be real hungry because they disappointed last year. Vikings are gonna be much tougher. Bears, I got to admit, they made a ballsy move to get Justin Fields. They're gonna be interesting. And your Lions gonna be much improved. So the Packers' ride in that division is gonna be rocky. And I mean, they'll probably still be above 500, but they're a wild card team at best. I'm low on the Packers.
You're right. I can't disagree on mostly anything you said. It's only the point what you said about Justin Fields. No. They swung for the fences with Mitch Trubisky. Now, Mitch Trubisky was number 2 overall. It wasn't a swing for the fences for Justin Fields at all. That was a makeup for Mitch Trubisky. Yeah. So
they got good value.
Chicago Bears, awful history of quarterbacks.
Right.
It does not look good historically for Justin Fields. Want to get that in there. I agree with the Packers. But that's actually not the one I was going to go with who I was low on. I'm actually going to say the AFC East, despite the Buffalo Bills, who I put as one of the more consistent football teams and looking like, as they desired to be, maybe the new Patriots, at least for this year, maybe next year. But the rest of the AFC East, I'm just incredibly unimpressed.
Really? Miami, too?
Much chatter. Oh, Miami especially. Miami had a very good year last year, but they're not better than Buffalo. They didn't prove that anywhere for.
I don't know.
I don't think they're going to be able to sweep any team in their own division this year, because you can argue that every team has figured some other things out, and I don't think Miami did anything very special that last year. They won by very small margins. They didn't blow teams out. Yeah, they're a team on the rise, but the Patriots are still the Patriots. And you can argue that the Jets, we don't know what the Jets are going to be, and Jets like to surprise people, and the Jets can beat Miami. That's for sure. So I'm not high on Miami. I think there's too much this and a little bit too much jibber jabber out of the state of Florida that this team's going to be that good. No. So the only one team in the state of Florida is going to be good, and that's Tampa, just like this year. I think Miami is going to have a very average year, probably just missing the playoffs. They're definitely not going to. I think they might even just be the 3rd best team in the AFC East.
In Florida, better or worse than Jacksonville? Miami.
Better than Jacksonville, but I just don't think they're going to be as good.
Is Tua better than Trevor Lawrence?
Don't know.
We'll see.
He's only had 1 year. Right. Don't know.
I know.
And it was only an average year. Don't know. Wasn't a bad year, but it could have been a lot better. We know Justin Herbert existed. I
happen to like Tua, and I like Brian Flores, their young coach, too. I like what they were doing defensively. They are really aggressive. So they will live by the blitz and die by the blitz. But I do like that philosophy. And if Tua can make some plays, they're going to win some games.
We're going to find out. I just think there's a little bit too much talk out of that town.
No question.
One solid year. But once again, they blew nobody out.
Yeah, look. But every year is different. Every
year is different. And
a lot of games, though, ultimately are close. You know, there's going to be a couple possessions that decide them.
Okay.
Who's going to be awful? Who is going to be the worst team in the NFL?
No idea. It's actually hard to choose this year. Houston is like the easy choice.
Right.
But you just don't know. I mean, Jacksonville, I guess, was somewhat predictable.
Jacksonville is going to win 6 games.
But Atlanta was terrible, and they had tons of talent. So what do we know?
I'll throw one out there that no one's going to say. I think, you know who I think is going to be awful? The Denver Broncos.
Sure. Tough division.
I mean, no, and everybody wants to talk about, their defense. They got some wide receivers. Yeah, they do. And who's their quarterback? Broncos. And look at who's in their division? Right. Mahomes. Justin Herbert.
Not arguing that. I'm not arguing any of that.
Even
that.
number 4.
The more interesting stories are the teams, of course, like Atlanta Falcons, who are supposed to at least be pretty good, who end up being terrible. And that happens every year. That's the more interesting story. Pick me a team that are supposed to at least be average to good that's going to completely bomb out. And you may have got one with Packers.
Or listen, you know who I might say too? The Saints. Kind of low on the Saints.
Yeah. Easy. They lost a quarterback, though. I mean, that's an easy one. I don't know if anybody...
Their roster is still
stacked. That high? Yeah, kind of.
Sometimes when you keep climbing in the mountain, you climb and you don't get there. Eventually, bottom's going to fall out. So, sell the Saints. Buy Carolina.
Why? I don't understand this obsession.
You hate Darnold.
There's no reason to believe he's any good.
I think that roster is going to compete with the Bucs. Yeah. That roster in that division is the second best to the Bucs. Now, that is
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to pick him off so many times, bruh. Let's not forget.
You think McCaffrey's not going to get the ball 30 times?
Sam Darnold has to prove that he's not Jameis Winston. That's his job this year.
Listen. Now you got to admit this would be a little bit of fun if we were going Bucs Panthers or something like that. That'd be a little bit of fun.
I love the Carolina Panthers historically, but I have zero reason to believe that Sam Darnold is going to be anything more than what I've already seen. And I haven't heard anything from anybody that he is besides the fact that he was a high draft pick. So what?
What about Wentz to Indianapolis? You think Wentz is going to play well?
I don't know, but he has every opportunity to be incredibly successful on a very well-made team. That's all I can say. And Wentz has had success in the NFL.
He's had
Darnold has none.
Okay, but also Wentz has had a few serious injuries.
Sure. And Darnold's been knocked around too. Not serious, but he's been unavailable for more games than you want him to have been unavailable for. He has a terrible track record. So I have no idea why anybody would bet high on Carolina. He has to prove he's any good. So now he sucks. He's one of the worst free agents or trade assets that you could have had, and that's just based on his previous numbers. I can't think of a quarterback that goes to another team who sucks, and you actually think that team's gonna be good.
Wait a minute now. Again,
no, give me another guy who's like, all right, now that he's there, they're going to be great. No, not if this guy who's never had no good seasons.
All right, so look, here's a slight tangent that's good. So I'm looking at this Vegasinsider.com odds right now. Carolina Panthers 2021 season. This is futures bet. Over under 7.5 wins. I would bet the over.
Under.
So we're head to head on that right there. So you say what? Carolina wins 6 games? 5?
You said 7.5, so I'm fine with that. Yeah.
How about this is another one?
I obviously can be proven wrong, but I have no evidence to prove otherwise because right now we know one thing about the Panthers. You hurt Christian McCaffrey, you hurt their season.
How about who we said we agreed? Who do you think is going to be the worst team in the league? And you see the popular pick is Houston.
Yeah, I assume.
Right. They are bottom. Over under 4.5 wins.
Yeah, and that's interesting in the fact that they are still in the same division as Jacksonville, who, despite having a good offseason, mostly because they had the first overall pick and the most picks, which happens when you're really, 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 really bad, yet they still think Houston's going to be worse. And I also believe that Houston's going to be worse, but I have no reason to believe that Jacksonville's going to be good.
Jacksonville is over under 6.5. Yeah, see, that's right where they're at. Because I said I said Jacksonville will win 6 games. I'd feel solid. So you know what? Maybe bet the under on that Jacksonville. Under 6.5. So how about this? I just got to bring this one up. The second worst team listed here, Detroit Lions. 5 wins. Over under 5 wins. I would what $100, 200? Give me the over on the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I mean, historically, national jokes. Everybody has their lists, their betting lists, and Dan Campbell, I'm sure, as a hire for a head coach, was nowhere near on any of the betting lists. So there's so many reasons to believe. They argue that we have the worst receiving core in the league right now. I mean, I'm not going to debate or even get in a high horse about any of these arguments. Not a 1, not a cent. But because they're all based, besides the fact that this is all based on stereotypical tropes that have associated with a bad franchise. And you have to be good before you're good. So Cleveland Browns typically have had the same association. They've won enough games now to not necessarily be associated with trash, despite not having won anything as long as the Detroit Lions have. But that's really going to make the odds change for the Lions. They have to win games, since if they haven't been, their odds are terrible.
Look,
I'm fine with that.
And they did the Browns, they got the number 1 pick a few times. How about the Lions? I'm not saying tank, but how about the Lions get the damn number 1 pick? They deserve it. They deserve it.
Yeah, it's really hard to say that we're going to be that terrible.
Yeah, you don't want to think that at the beginning of the season, but
and I'm mostly going off the fact that the ironic thing is that we voted to be the worst team, but also voted to have a top 10 offensive line. So that's you're kind of counter-addicted to yourself. It's very rare when you have a top 10 offensive line that you're in the bottom 10 of the league. It's very rare. It doesn't really happen.
No, I know. That's why I'm saying it's a safe bet.
I don't get why I'm not going to go into this bet to believe the Lions are going to be that bad to be the number 1 overall pick, because if our offensive line stays healthy from beginning to the end of the season,
Jared Goff will make some plays.
They should win 7-8 games, really, at least. If
and
the
that
offensive
running
line
game
stays
is going to
healthy.
go.
Right, because the defense doesn't have to stop the world. No defense does. You just have to be able to move the ball and score enough points to stay in games.
I know who you like as a fantasy dark horse, and I like him too. Jamal Williams with the Lions.
Yeah, I wasn't going to list them. I actually have my fantasy breakout guy, and I did not think that you would go with Jamal. I am incredibly happy that you went with Jamal, because right now, Jamal Williams is my personal favorite player. Holy love that Mormon. Anyway.
He's going to be a good, like maybe a 7th, 8th, 9th round pick, something like that. You pick Jamal Williams. He's going to be playing every week for your team. Watch.
Yeah, but the man is Swift. That's why I'm surprised you didn't lift.
Swift. Swift is going to be, let's see again. Swift, DeAndre Swift's going to be like a 3rd round pick. Damn near a 2nd round pick. I'm saying Jamal Williams, you could maybe get in the 8th round.
I agree with you. I'm saying that as long as he's healthy, and by the end of the season, people are going to be wondering why you didn't take him in the 1st. That's what I'm saying about Swift.
Ooh, are you that high on DeAndre Swift? Okay.
Got no reason not to be, because based on the offensive coordinator and how he works, and you're familiar with Anthony Lynn since he's coached the Chargers for a long time.
No question.
You're familiar with Jared Goff.
I'm a fan of Anthony Lynn.
West
actually, I
Coast
think
for a
he's
long
a really
time.
good man.
Both the philosophies of these guys, and Deuce Staley also being the running backs coach, I know his game as well. The running backs, both those running backs might have 60 catches. Both of them might have that. They're gonna get the ball's gonna be thrown to them that many times.
Look, and I'm saying, and Hawkinson is their number 1 receiver. Basically, the Lions are going to be a power football team, man.
Right. Don't be surprised if the leading receiver though isn't Hawkinson. It's one of those 2 running backs. Just don't be surprised. They're gonna get the ball that many times.
Which is even more of a fantasy stuff.
Right.
You
know
want
those
running backs that catch passes.
The Chargers love running with Eckler.
Yeah.
Swift's better than Eckler.
Swift is better.
And Eckler got the job done with those plays. So that's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah. No doubt. So,
Yeah.
so who's another guy that you would suggest as a fantasy break?
I thought we were gonna go right to bus. I got my bus list.
Do it.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Burrow.
Is Boomer.
I'm gonna
bust.
bust Joe Burrow because it's no offense, Joe Burrow. I actually really like Joe Burrow. I'm going after the coach, and I'm going after that staff. I know the Lions got something out of this, getting an offensive lineman, but you're gonna get that boy hurt. You're going to get him hurt because you're asking Joe Burrow to save himself. You asking him to get the ball out at that consistent of a level for now 17 games. It's just not going to work that way. Guys aren't going to be open like that. I don't see Joe Burrow as Mahomes yet. Now I could be wrong. But you can tell that this coach is asking Joe Burrow to be Patrick Mahomes. And I think that's horse manure. That Patrick Mahomes got beat up in the Super Bowl because of this nonsense. You have to have an offensive line more than anything. And you had an opportunity to do so. So I'm going with Joe Burrow having an average to below average to an injured season at the quarterback position in fantasy for that coach.
I mean, a bust. Yeah, I lean to the same team. I lean to the same team. I say Joe Mixon. He's a bust for me.
He's an easy one. That's an easy one though. I think that's
maybe it is too easy.
Because he's had little nicks here and there.
His stock is completely fallen now. But
no, he's running back, so it can't be falling that much. He's gonna get drafted higher than probably he deserves to be because there's gonna be a team that says I gotta get a running back, and there he is. And it was only gonna be like a third round because the need for running backs is not gonna go away. You gotta fill those positions every week, regardless.
It's gonna be the running backs are always a crapshoot, and you know that you gotta sit there and look for. To me, you always want to have at least one or two rookie running backs on your team because those rookies are going to get a shot at some point. It is a battle of attrition. Yeah. It is the most brutal position. If you're a rookie running back and you can play a little bit, you're going to play. You are going to play.
Yeah, but the issue is when and how long can you hold on to the guy? Because one of the issues that you see with running backs, especially lately, and I'll use J.K. Dobbins as a perfect example. He actually didn't start to get playing time until after November. And if you draft this guy, you're going to be having almost an empty roster spot for the majority of the season. And that means he's really only a viable starter in the playoffs in fantasy.
Right, he was. But now, see.
I'm 100% with you with rookies. But you have to weigh that with roster spots now. That's one of those things.
Yeah.
He's not getting production for you week after week. That's the thing.
Well, and the opportunity is everything. Like Najee Harris with the Steelers.
Another great example.
He's going to get opportunity from day one. He's going to be the top rookie running back taken. I would be shocked otherwise.
Yeah, because he's going to get the ball. That's what it's all about. If you know he's going to get the ball, you know he's going to get the ball. That's a big deal.
You know he's going to get the ball, and he's going to get an opportunity to be the goal line back, too.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
But health, big deal with rookies also. So
he was pretty healthy throughout his career in Alabama, I think, right? He did get injured? Look, every running back gets injured. Everyone.
Yeah.
It's brutal position. Take that much punishment.
Yeah. That's why almost not enough to go around in fantasy, especially with these deep leagues.
Well, but look, again, there are guys that you can always get on the come up. See, you mentioned a guy like J.K. Dobbins. That's somebody that I'll be eyeballing, maybe, again, second, third round kind of guy. Because, again, those first rounders, what? Saquon Barkley? Saquon Barkley going in the first round? You taking him in the first round? No, I need to see it. But Saquon Barkley in the second or third round, I'll take him. I'll take him in the second or third round. It's all about where you are, too. Yeah,
but you still have to end up with at least 4 because of the fact that besides injuries, there are production lapses, and also there are game plan changes where running back is completely not even in the game, which happens to.
I know. Well, but look, the guys like the Dalvin Cooks and the Alvin Kamaras and the Christian McCaffreys, they're still going to be high draft picks too.
Why they deserve to be is the offensive game plan is centered around it.
Right, the opportunity, exactly. You see, I wish the Vikings would actually throw the ball to Dalvin Cook more. If Dalvin caught more passes, he would be like the number one running back to me.
Yeah, it's a fantasy thing, but they don't actually need in their offense as it is right now to throw the ball more. They really don't.
Because watch, actually, that dude, Justin Jefferson, he is going to be a high draft pick based on his studly rookie year. But again, is he going to match that, or is he going to regress a little in year 2?
I have no reason, based on what I've seen from him, to believe that he's going to regress. I don't know how great he's going to be moving forward, but he looks like a guy that's going to be a name for years to come.
So I'm saying, maybe like now is the year if you can get Jefferson in the 3rd round, something like that. Boom, take him, because he could be the kind of guy, like you said about DeAndre Swift, that if you draft, say, Justin Jefferson in the 3rd, 4th round, and then at the end of the year he's a top 5 receiver, you're going to be like, wow, how the hell did you get him in the 4th round? Because I'm thinking about who's about to blow up, not who blew up already.
Right, but 3rd, 4th round, he also might not be there.
He might not be there. Someone is gonna. He has like one good preseason game, and he's in the 2nd round.
If you value him as a number 1 receiver, then boom.
Oh, right, true. I mean, look, Thielen's still gonna catch his. They got the tight end. Irv Smith Jr. is actually an emerging young tight end. The Vikings have some interesting weapons there. That's kind of it, actually. They don't really have a 3rd receiver.
Not name, no.
The more we talk about it, I'm like, I'm selling the Vikings. Even though I do love me some Seminole Dalvin Cook.
I'm selling the Vikings. You want to give them their dues, but they have defensive issues, and the fact is they just couldn't win close games last year. Now, this is a whole nother year. But I actually will say they couldn't really win close games the last 2 years. This year before that, to blow you out, or we probably lose. And they blew more teams out than they lost until they got to the playoffs.
That defense got weak. That's Mike Zimmer's thing. But they built up that defensive line again. Their D line is pretty nasty, actually.
On paper,
true. But they got Dalvin Tomlinson in there now. They just brought Sheldon Richardson back. They got Danielle Hunter is coming back. The Vikings are stacked at D line.
Yeah, on paper. We'll see.
All right, so let's maybe wrap this up. What did we? Anything else you wanted to touch on that we missed?
I think we're watching tonight.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, so that's kind of a page out of one of our old favorite shows. PTI, pardon the interruption, but I like that. It's like, hey, what is on tonight, and what the fuck are you watching?
It's a ball night. It's playoff basketball.
Oh, of course. I mean, look, I had that Hawks Sixers on before. Hawks jumped out on them big. I mean, I actually haven't seen the score.
70-64 Philadelphia.
Oh, all right. So Philadelphia has roared back. I mean, they got to play desperate. Yeah, I'm also watching. I got the Yankees on here. We're losing 5-3. The Yankees are losing 5-3.
To who?
To Oakland. Very good first place team, Oakland A's. The Yankees did just sweep Toronto in Buffalo. So Yankees are starting barely to play a little better. But still a long way to go.
Yeah, they're bad right now. Long July. Right on.
So yeah, so good shit. We'll see how that all turns out. Catch you on the next go.